Welcome, everybody, back to There Will Be Bets. I'm your host, Cole Oxane. I'm joined by my co-hosts, as always, Jake LaSalle and Drew LaSalle. And we're back to pick up midweek on all of the NBA playoff action. And what we thought was going to be a snoozer of a round one turning out to be much more entertaining. A lot of these series ended up seeing the underdogs, the road teams, steal games on the road. There's also kind of the big news that relates to that with Victor Wembanyama getting the concussion. Those of us who are football guys like us know concussions, that's a week's time. And that could end up being 2 or 3 games. So now that series all of a sudden has been flipped on its head. You know, the Nuggets, the Knicks, these teams that looked pretty solid in game 1, give up game 2. Really, it seems like the Cavaliers are the only team that's kind of holding serve. The Rockets stink. Drew kind of touched on that pretty hard on the last episode. He couldn't have been more right. That team can't hit shots to save their life, even with Kevin Durant. The Pistons blew game 1 against the Magic. As we're recording, they're playing game 2, so we'll see how that plays out. But all of a sudden, this landscape looks a lot more entertaining. The only thing that really is going according to plan is we're going to assume that the Thunder are going to take care of business pretty quickly. Other than that, it seems like it's going to be a lot more exciting than we thought. So we're going to hop in. We're going to cover our thoughts on Thursday and Friday action. We're going to give our picks, and then we'll do an update on our series, long futures and looks that we gave out same way we did on the previous episode. So that's kind of the plan here today. It's going to be a quicker episode. We'll get you in, get you out, get you with some plays. If you have been enjoying all of our videos and you enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, hit the bell so you get notified whenever we put out these episodes. Stay tuned with us on all of our social media platforms at There Will Be Bets. That's where we'll be putting out daily picks, especially coming up on the weekend between this episode and our next one. That's where you'll get the most up-to-date picks and plays that we have going on there. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the picks today. For Thursday first, there's 3 games on Thursday, starting with that Hawks-Knicks series. It's the Hawks returning home. We've seen this one move a little bit, but the Hawks are now actually a -1 favorite at home against the Knicks. A little bit of an interesting move. Your total sitting around 216.5. Jake, you got any opinions on this game? I know Drew has a couple, but Jake, you got anything for us here first?
No strong lean. I did take the Hawks at the +1.5, and then the one prop I'd probably be looking to go after would be McCollum points over. We've been betting it a few times, and he's been absolutely crushing it because, as you've stated before, he's getting guarded by a traffic cone. So he's just going to continue to produce until they change the matchup.
Yeah, McCollum's been huge in this series because of that matchup. I think it continues, even if we start seeing a mix-up of who they put on him. Maybe you see Hart switch on a little bit, but I feel like that's not something the Knicks are dying to do. They controlled most of that game too, and really just gave it away in the end. So I have a lean more towards the Knicks. I kind of feel the need to go against the line move and think the Knicks ultimately get it done in game 3. I think the key to the game, and we've talked about it a couple times about when talking through this series, is getting Cat going early, because he was terrible in the first half of game 1, ultimately was the catalyst to that first win, and he was kind of so in their game yesterday too. Like, I don't know what it is. They feel like they're this elite 3-point shooting team where Bridges and Brunson can just start hucking up threes whenever they feel like it. But it starts with Cat, man. We got to see more from him on the offensive end, and I think we see it in game 3.
I think it's a light play for me, but I think I disagree. I think this is a Hawks spot. I kind of had this circled as a Hawks spot going into the series. They kind of just screwed it up by winning that game on Tuesday. I thought it would have been a perfect spot. Honestly, probably would have been laying a little more on the points, but I would have been okay with it. I feel like if I had to predict how the series is going to go from here, I think the Hawks can find a way to win this game. All of a sudden, it's going to be that situation where, oh my God, the Knicks are down 2-1. Mike Brown on the hot seat. Is Jalen Brunson the kind of star that can ever win a championship? All the talk that we've heard before. And then they'll find a way to figure it out. They'll take care of business game 4. They'll come back to the Garden. They'll settle in game 5. And it'll look a lot kind of like that Pistons series last year. If I'm not mistaken, that's exactly how their series against the Pistons went last year. I think they got down 2-1, or it was 2-2. I can't remember. But then they came back home for game 5, won the pivotal game 5, took care of business at game 6. That's kind of how this series is starting to feel, at least to me. So I kind of disagree there. I'll take the Hawks. I got in early. I took them when they were a plus number, but as we've talked about plenty of times throughout this playoffs, if you like the team to cover, you like them to win. So I like the Hawks to win this game. I think it's still okay to lay the small number with the Hawks here. I don't think Drew's necessarily wrong with his opinion on the Knicks. I think the Knicks have been the if you're ranking 8 quarters, they've been the better team in 6 of the 8 quarters in this game. So or in this series. So I don't think he's necessarily wrong. I just think this is kind of a spot where the Hawks can take care of business. I do agree with these guys, though. If there's one thing the Hawks will do, whether they win or lose, it's going to get CJ McCollum the ball, and he's going to take advantage of the Olay defense that Jalen Brunson continues to play on him. So as long as that's the case, I like looking at his overs, and it's slowly creeping up there. It was 17.5 game one. It was 18.5 this last game. Looks like it's at 18.5, getting close to 19.5 at some books. So, keep looking for that. But I think anything under 20 is kind of just a play until you see the matchup change, at least in my opinion. I think you guys would probably agree with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's blowing through these. These aren't like, it's a bummer that we weren't talking ladders on his points because those lines have been ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, even if you want to play it another way too, I think 3-pointers. I know I was high on Nickeil Alexander-Walker coming to this series. He has not shot well. There's still a lot of time for maybe him to get back in the total 3-pointers, but McCollum's been hitting threes too. So I think there's multiple ways to play this. And then before we finish up this game, I want to give Jake a big shout out. On the last episode, he called out Josh Hart to lead the series in rebounds at 10-1, said this is crazy that it's this long considering it was such a close spread. And then Josh Hart went full beast mode, full Josh Hart playoff mode, had an insane rebounding game in game 2, and now has a 11 rebound lead on the field in this series, is the minus number favorite after a game farther. So it was a great shout out by Jake. I'm going to ride his wave. I'm going to play the Josh Hart over rebounds and assists, and I'm going to sprinkle on some ladder plays on that too. The line is sitting at 12.5. I think you can kind of ladder every couple of numbers all the way up to maybe even 20 if you really want to get crazy. Josh Hart's hit a few of these numbers of 20 rebounds plus assists in both of the last 2 playoffs, so not even just last year, but the year before. And when he gets in this mode where he's just crashing the glass, he can put up 13, 14, 15 rebounds, and then he's a guy who averages 3 or 4 assists, so you're not asking for him to do much more than what he normally does on the assist side of things. So I think it's definitely worth a look, especially if you didn't get in or you didn't get in as much as you would have liked to on the series leader rebounds. Like, this is another way you can continue to ride the wave if he's just going to keep pounding the boards. So that's the other look that I've got here on this series. Any other thoughts on this one, guys, before we hop out of here? All right, well, then we'll hop over to game number 2 here on Thursday. This one is Timberwolves versus Nuggets. Timberwolves are back home. They're plus 2.5. Total has now crept up. We've seen this one kind of move up and up and up. Every game it's up to 234.5. I think we have mostly some prop plays here, and then I'll touch on the Nuggets as well as Drew. But Jake, what are you looking at in this game? I know it's going to sound like a lot of what we've already been playing here, but what do you got?
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Going back to the Ant rebound ladder. It was at 5.5 in both the first 2 games. He got 9 in the first game, 10 in the second game. I expect him to continue this. Ant in the playoffs is an absolute rebound machine. He actually starts trying. He starts doing those, crashing the glass, playing more defense. So I just like him to continue.
Yeah, I echo the Ant prop as well. I mean, it's been an absolute printer of money the last couple of years in the playoffs for him, but I lean Nuggets here. Line sitting at 2.5. Again, kind of similar to the Knicks, felt like the Nuggets had control of that game and the T-Wolves just go on a late run and steal one in Denver, but I still think the Nuggets are the better team. Obviously, Murray, points leader, is looking pretty strong still, despite Ant's better game in game 2. He continues to get to the line pretty much whenever he wants to, even if it's mostly been an inefficient series from him from a shooting perspective. But yeah, gotta continue to go to the well with the Nuggets. I still believe in this team. Maybe they don't close it out in 5 like I talked about last episode, but I still think they win the series and take game 3.
I'm right there with Drew on this one. I'll take the Nuggets as well. I think as a small favorite, it's a good spot to be on them. The other thing I'm going to look at is to play on Jokic. It's no news to anybody that Nikola Jokic just oozes stats left and right. I'm going to play his rebounds and assists as well. And then on top of that, I'm going to look to ladder just his rebounds in this game. He's been putting up crazy numbers despite the weird matchup against Gobert as well. He's averaging double-digit assists, double-digit rebounds. So I think as long as you're asking him to do what he's been doing, you can get to his rebound assist number, which is 24.5. And then with the rebounds, it's one of those things where he just gobbles up so many of the rebounds on these misses because everyone else just tries to vacate and push the tempo a little bit to let him be the outlet man. So I think there's definitely the potential for a rebound ladder there as well. So going to play that one. And then the only other thing I'll shout out, like Jake said, If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Not that DiVincenzo threes. If it's still sitting at 2.5 for anything on a reasonable juice, absolutely going to play it again. He's Mr. Consistent. He gets his 4 to 6 threes up, and he hits 3 to 4 of them every game. That's just what he does, and they know that's what he does. And they're not taking him off the court because they need him on offense and defense. So the looks are there. We're just going to keep riding it probably throughout this whole series. I think it's likely to hit more times than it's not. So going to keep playing that as long as they're giving it to us at 2.5.
I say he had a +20 plus minus in game 2, DiVincenzo. Most efficient player on the court, in my opinion, for the T-Wolves.
I echo what you're saying with what both you guys are saying with the Nuggets. I like the 2.5 look. The Nuggets are such a weird team that they're just a team that when I look at them, I'm like, oh, they're gonna lose this game, lose the series, but then like they'll have spurts of like, oh, this team is the best team in the league. Like this team is dominating. So I do think that they turn it around. We've talked about it the past 2 podcasts, but I think it comes down to Jokic being the facilitator, being able to move the ball. And so I really echo the look that Cole said with the Jokic rebounds plus assists. Obviously, he's going to get rebounds. He's Jokic. The ball just lands in his hands. But I really echo the assists as well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, like we said, that's the recipe we shouted out. I think Drew was the one who brought it up first, way back on the first preview episode, even before we knew who they were playing. That was what he called out, was that Jokic is going to be the facilitator. Then when we saw it was the Gobert matchup, it made even more sense. So we're going to continue to ride that wave. And Drew's 100% right on DiVincenzo. He is a straw that stirs that drink for the Timberwolves, whether people want to admit it. He's the anti-Julius Randle. Like, they could not be farther as far as the types of players they are. One guy is just super efficient, knows his role, and plays it to the best extent possible. And then the other is just an inefficient monster who probably drags him down more than he should. So we're going to keep riding that train as well. But I think that's about all we got on that series. We'll touch back in on it, obviously, when we get to the weekend episode. All right, now we'll jump into what has been one of the more underwhelming series. It's the Raptors, Cavs. Raptors are +3.5. Total sitting around 219.5. You're not going to hear a ton from us, but we have at least a couple of plays here. I think it's going to kind of be mostly the same. If there's ever a chance that the Raptors are going to be live, you would think it's this game again, game 3, coming home, travel, all that, whatnot. Yeah, the customs, who knows? But Drew or Jake, what are you playing in this game?
The only thing I'm really looking at is Donovan Mitchell threes. He's been absolutely lighting it up from downtown in this series, and he's been taking a lot of shots. He took 10 in the last game. I think he took like 8 or 9 in the first game. He's been taking a lot, so I really like his threes over.
I added a late play Murray Bowles PRA in game 2, and he cleared it with ease. I don't know what his number's sitting at in game 3, but the guy continues to get minutes, and I forget the wording you used, Cole. Just if you were 6'9", and it just would be that much easier to play basketball and just get minutes. So I think he has to be on the court for them to have a chance, and if he's going to get 20 plus minutes, his PRA was sitting in like the mid-teens going into game 2, and I think he cleared that with ease. So looking at that again, but yeah, I think it's a sweep still for the Cavs. I think they take care of business in game 3 and put the Raptors on ice in game 4 and head back early to Cleveland. So I like them a lot.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. Honestly, the only thing that has me hanging up here is the fact that this line only opened 3.5. I get that like home court is worth 5 in the playoffs, and that's why it went from 8.5 to 3.5. It's just a math thing there, but like that kind of was shocking. I was expecting to see a little bit more juice after how dominant it has been for 2 games essentially for the Cavaliers. So that's the only reason I'm like, why is it only 3.5? But again, I think that's just more of they're going to price it the way they will always price it. I really don't have much on this one. I think the only thing I can really say is I might look at the other side of what Drew is playing, which is if Murray Boyles is playing more, that means somebody has to play less. Most likely that's Jakob Poeltl because he's been a ghost in this series. So I think playing some of his unders, there's still some value while they're still adjusting for this differential in minutes. If you don't want to trust Murray Boyles necessarily, I think the other way to do it's Jakob Poeltl unders. Otherwise, don't really have anything. Like Drew said, Colin Murray Boyles is proof that if you were 6'10" and had a little bit of hustle in you, you could play in the NBA too. Because that dude is just a grit and grind board man, lunch pail guy. But those are the type of guys you want to take when they have these totals that are very low because they're going to show up, they're going to give effort on both ends. So you do want to trust those guys. Anything else in this series, guys, or do we just keep riding the train and hopefully by Saturday this is kind of wrapped up?
Yeah.
So hope Mitchell can hit 5 threes in a game, man. He's hit 4 in both games, but hopefully he can get there.
Yeah, he's been, especially the other game, he had a couple that were so close, like rimmed in and out. He had one that he like threw up on a shot clock, like running down situation off of 1 foot. I thought he was going to hit it to be his 5th three, and I got a little too excited. I scared the dog, and yeah, so that'd be nice. If we could just have it be a sweep, he takes care of that, leads the series in threes, and we could just get out of there nice and clean. You don't even have to care what happens, so that'd be nice. But yeah, I think we'll move on to Friday here. The first game on Friday is going to be the Sixers versus Celtics. Sixers are plus 7.5 at home versus the Celtics. Total is 215.5. This is going to sound broken record of any of these series. This is going to sound like the broken record from us. I can already tell you that. It's going to be the same stuff we've been echoing all series long, but there's a reason for it. Jake, where are you going first?
We've touched on it already. Both of the other podcasts, Tatum rebounds. He's been absolutely crushing it. Hit his line both games and hit 2 of his alts in the last game. Also looking at the Celtics alts again, we hit it in the first game, and that was obviously the worst shooting performance you could get out of the Celtics, 13 of 50 from the 3-point line. That's just how the Celtics play. They play the numbers game. So I expect them to turn it around this game and put up another dominating performance.
Yeah, Drew, you kind of on the same wave here?
Absolutely with the Celtics. Yeah, I think they bring out the belt in this one and get back on track. I think that was the only chance the Sixers had was Celtics shoot terribly. Sixers somehow find it from 3. This has been a team that struggled from the 3-point line all season. For them to shoot 50% in a game is more of an outlier than anything else. And obviously I echo the Tatum rebounds. That was something we talked about before the series, and it's played out exactly that way. And whenever Keita's out of the game, Tatum is the primary rebounder and has really been huge for them in that aspect. The other piece I wanted to add, and it's not something I've touched yet, but I'm looking at it. Edgecombe, obviously coming off a huge game, was really the driver of that win behind Maxey as well. His line for points is sitting at 15.5. I'm tempted by the under. I might be playing with fire because he clearly has that dog in him and is capable of performing even in the playoffs, but something I'll be looking at and making a decision on pregame, certainly.
Yeah, I think maybe you got to wait one more game on that one and see if it gets inflated a little bit more, would maybe be my take, is because I get where you're going. He's a rookie, and coming off of that, you'd expect kind of a letdown, especially, now that the Celtics probably going to have a better shooting game, and he's not, the greatest defender, to where maybe he's put in a position where he has to be taken off the floor at times if they want to switch the matchups at all. You never know what could happen. Nick Nurse, it does crazy stuff sometimes. So maybe I would wait on that, but I get where you're going with it. I agree with these guys. Tatum rebounds, death taxes, Tatum rebounds in the playoffs. So just ride that train. I like what Jake's saying with the alts, especially now that you're going to have to not lay as high of alts because obviously they're on the road now, but math travels, right? They're going to put up the threes, and if they hit more of them, they're going to win by more points. It's going to be the opposite of what you saw in game 2. So you're actually kind of, in my opinion, getting a little bit of a discount on these alts. You're not going to have to go up to like 30 like you would have had to in game 1. You might be able to stay in the low 20s on some of your alts to get a pretty good ROI there. So echo that. And then I think I'm just going to go back to the well again on Maxey points. Even if he hasn't been the most efficient in this game, he, just like VJ Edgecombe, is the only other guy that can really score consistently at a high volume for the Sixers team. And they're going to let him put up shots. He's going to jack threes. He's going to take it to the rim. He's going to get fouled. And even in the last game, he was super inefficient. And for a while, it wasn't looking great. And then he ended with 29. And his number keeps sitting right around 26.5, 27. I think that he's just going to keep going. He's a high motor player. They'll play him 42 minutes if they have to, especially if the game stays close. Really, your only risk is a big blowout. But even then, they'll keep him in the game as long as they probably can. So I like going back to that well as well. But overall, I think, again, what you're hearing from us is nothing new other than maybe that Edgecombe under, but nothing new from us. It's the same thing. Game 2 was just kind of, again, part of the pattern with the Celtics, which is they drop games when they don't shoot well. I was saying they're the NBA Alabama, and the good news is, unlike the NCAA tournament, they get 4 chances instead of just 1. So, we'll just keep backing them when we think they can hit. All right, well, I don't really want to talk about this next game because it's just so disgusting, but I guess we have to. It's the Rockets-Lakers game. I get why, but the Rockets are minus 10 versus the Lakers. Total is sitting at 205.5. Again, it makes sense. They were a 5-point favorite, add 5 for home court. They're back home. Must win game 3. It all makes sense, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the Rockets minus 10 because I feel like it's a must-win spot. It's hold your nose, man. Like, it's hold your nose. Play it if you trust spots like this, but otherwise I could totally see why somebody would want to stay away. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Am I crazy for doing this?
I really don't like looking at this series or watching this series. But I actually do think there is some value in Rockets to win the series. I don't know about the -10. As bad as they've been, LeBron is going to tire out. The Rockets will shoot better. I think there's value.
I don't know if either of those things are true.
You heard it here first. We'll see in a week.
So they don't play until Friday, right?
Yeah.
So we got another extra day of rest. Or I guess that's a city change, 2 days anyway. But I get where you're coming from. I mean, this Laker team stinks out loud. Like, it just is emblematic of how bad this Rockets team is on offense. I'm looking at the team total under for the Lakers because I think eventually this 3-point fest that Marcus Smart has been on and some other players that don't shoot very well is going to end. But I nibbled on the 9.5. It is a ratty line if you've ever seen one. I mean, who in their right mind is not taking Lakers plus 9.5, 10? Like, that's the most ridiculous line of all time. So I'll bite. I'll take the Rockets. And I think this is another stinky, ugly game that they find a way to win. No way Durant plays as poorly as he did in that game. What do you have, 9 turnovers in game 2?
Yeah, no, I think this is the type of situation where, again, like I said, it's hold your nose. You have to trust that water finds its level. That's just what you have to trust. And maybe it won't. Maybe it won't, right? It's a small enough sample size and maybe it just won't. That's why, on top of the Rockets, I'm going to go to old reliable here. It looked a little shaky in the first quarter of last night's game and then cashed with ease. We're going to go under. They keep dropping this down. It started at 207.5 the first game. It was 206.5 in game 2. Started out at 205.5. Guess what? It's not low enough. Take the under. That's what I'm going to do. I think anything over 200 is a gift with the way these teams are playing and shooting. And like Drew said, there's even negative regression possibly inbound for the Lakers. So I'm going to take the under there. I might combine it in a little bit of a parlay with the Rockets because that's just a disgusting play to take the Rockets to win by double digits and keep the game under the total. So I might just go ahead and do it and just play the whole thing there. But that's what I'm looking at in this game. Otherwise, I don't want any more of anything to do with this game.
You heard it here first. Rockets to win the series. Maybe sprinkle a little bit on Rockets 4-2.
You're getting plus 115 for that take. So it's not like you're getting a great number. Like, odds makers agree with you, and it's still, I don't think, worth it.
The book understands this team is trash.
Both teams are trash.
Oh,
Can I take Thunder sweep in back-to-back series yet? Is that an option?
I was going to say, so genuine question. Obviously, we'll talk about the Thunder, the next episode. We'll mention them again. They're really kind of the team we're just not talking about because they're taking care of business. But over under losses so we're recording this before game 2 of the Thunder Sun series. Over under losses remaining for the Thunder before they get to the Western Conference Finals. Is it a half?
0.5? Yeah, 0.5. And the answer is under.
Yeah,
if Luka comes back, it's probably higher.
He ain't, dude. They announced he was out like a week ago. Reeves maybe, but I don't think that's enough.
Yeah, and even then, like, if you're the Lakers, do you even risk that? Like, what's the point in having him possibly hurt himself more to try and upset I don't know. We can talk about that at a later date if we get there. But like, yeah, I agree with that take. I know I've been kind of like doing more looking into using the prediction markets for like series long stuff. I got to look and see if there's anything on like that type of play for the Thunder, because I agree that's really the take here. Is it if the Rockets end up winning this game, like Jake said too, gives me even more credit because that means it's going to be a long, grueling, drag out series. So yeah, ew. All I can say is ew. That's the answer to this series. So we'll move on. We'll kind of go from one uncertain series to another uncertain series for an unfortunately similar reason, which is injuries. And now all of a sudden, the Spurs-Blazers series has gotten kind of tilted on its head thanks to the Victor Wembanyama concussion. They're heading back to Portland, tied up 1-1. Spurs now missing Wembanyama. Spurs are still favored by 1.5. Total sitting at 220.5. I can't make heads or tails of this with this Wemby injury. I did not like what I saw out of the Spurs without him. They looked lost, but that also could have just been because it happened during the game. Maybe they'll have a better game plan coming into this. You guys got anything here? Jake, I know you're kind of in the same boat with me on not a whole lot, but it looks like Drew might at least have confidence in something. What do we make of this game?
Yeah, I got nothing on this game, honestly. It's until Wemby comes back or that stabilizes more, I don't know what to do.
I lean Spurs. I don't think, I mean, even with Wemby out, like, they had a chance to win that game and get moving to Portland up 2-0. And I mean, they're up 14 with 8:30 left in the fourth quarter. Like, they were in control that game despite losing Wemby in the second quarter or first quarter, whenever it was. I think you see Castle continued what he did in game 2, where he's really more of a scorer than he is a facilitator, which is unfortunate for the podcast. But I think I'll be looking at his points over is how I play with this.
Yeah, I don't think it's a terrible look. I think I'm just going to sit this one out and just see how it plays. I haven't been doing that a lot with most of these series. I've been trying to find ways to play every one of these games because I think there's a lot of soft lines that you can find if you dig. I think this is just one I got to see. And you might be right. It might be that Castle becomes the scorer or, things look different. Maybe role players step up. We'll see. But I think I just want to see how this series goes when you take out, the alien from the picture and see how both teams tend to react with that. So that's probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit this game out. You don't have to play every game as much as we all like to. So that's kind of my take there. And again, we'll we'll wait and see. Breaking news, you don't have to play every game. You don't have to. You want to, but you don't have
Must bet every game.
All right, you guys. Well, that was our breakdown on all of the Thursday and Friday games coming up. Drew had to drop out of here, so Jake and I are going to wrap up this episode talking the series futures, bets, and all the different looks for the series-long stuff. It's kind of the update for you. This one will be a little bit shorter because obviously now that we've gotten more into series, some of these markets are just already kind of decided that there's not a ton of value left to extract. Use the example of Jake's shout on the Josh Hart rebounds. Look how quickly that changed after one game. So you have to act on these quick. We're not going to throw out just crap we don't think has a chance, but we're going to throw out a few ideas here. The first thing I actually want to touch on is an interesting stat that I think people are aware of, but I like to bring it up every year. When you look at round 1 of the NBA playoffs and you have a series tied 1-1, which fortunately we have multiple series tied 1-1 here, the winner of game 3 wins the series 73.3% of the time. They're 162 and 59 in those series in round 1. So that's a large sample size, and it proves that game 3 is as pivotal as they will make it sound. And that especially gets interesting with a lot of the series we have here because you have a lot of short favorites on the road who were favorited to win the series. So if you're looking at these games, one thing to think about is if you like a team in game 3, but you aren't in love with the price you're getting in game 3, maybe you trust his data a little bit and you take the win game 3 and the series that is available at a lot of these different books as well. So a couple of the ones I kind of like in this spot are the Nuggets, who are a favorite in Minnesota. You can get them at plus 130 to win game 3 and win the series. So I kind of like sprinkling on that there. And then the Celtics, who have been a very heavy favorite in that series against the 76ers so far to this point, are only minus 155 to win game 3 and to win the series. So to me, that's a little bit of a discount on an otherwise heavy favorite. I personally like the Hawks in game 3, so I won't be looking at that. But if you do like the Knicks, you can get them at plus 145. They've been a fairly heavy favorite in that series too. So those are the ones I would like to throw out there. But again, look at any of these series. Obviously, we're not expecting the Thunder Suns to end that way. But if Orlando and Detroit end up in a 1-1 after their Wednesday night game, you could have a position on either team there as well. So we wanted to shout all of those out. But in general, it's kind of an interesting look to take this win game 3 and the series look. It's kind of like what Jake was saying. Now, the Rockets are down 0-2, but that means you might even get a better price if you want to take that look as well. So that kind of links into what Jake was saying when we were breaking down that Rockets series. Jake, any of these that stand out to you as ones you'd want to play if you were going to go this route instead of just taking, the spread or the money line?
Yeah, I feel like the Nuggets one feels like some value. I also echo what you said. We won't find out until after tonight. But if the Pistons win this game, right now it's currently a close game, so you'll probably get some value on that because they have not looked good so far in either of the 2 first games. So if it's 1-1 in that series, you might get some value on the Pistons playing it this way.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I would definitely, if the Pistons end up holding on, would want to look their way in this type of situation. So again, like we said, Think about that. If you like a team in game 3, you either want to add an additional play on them or you want to use it as essentially a pseudo money line play. Look for them to win game 3 and win the series at whatever book you have available. Now, I'll jump over to a couple of the series leaders. We've been kind of hitting on these every chance we get. Again, some of these markets are starting to get settled. There's still a few that I think have some potential. The first I want to shout out is one that we've talked about all series, and he's now behind Jaylen Brown by 12 points, but it's Tyrese Maxey to lead that series in points. You can get him at a plus number now. I think 12 points is not a crazy amount if Tyrese Maxey has a big game and Jaylen Brown has a game where he scores in the high teens or low 20s, which can happen. He's obviously been on a tear. He's looked great, but there's a potential there that I think at a plus number, it might be worth getting in on Maxey a little bit more for the same reasons we said when we broke that series down. So I like that look a lot. And then the other series leader that I want to throw out there, and this is more like the opposite end of where I think that this market is about to be decided, and this is the last chance to get in on the boat as it sets sail, and that's Alperen Sengun to lead the Rockets-Lakers series in rebounds. He currently has only a 1-rebound lead on Tari Eason and Jabari Smith, so they're both at 18, and he's at 19. I think it's only going one way, and that's Sengun's going to continue to do his average of double-digit rebounds, whereas the rest of the team, including the one that we were high on to start but has fallen behind Amen Thompson, are all going to split the rest of those rebounds. I think that minus 135 or minus 130 around what I'm seeing here in a couple of different books is a small enough price for a guy that probably will end up being a heavy favorite coming out of the next game. So if you want to get in there, especially if you were on Amen rebounds, and it looks like, again, that's just not going to come through, this might be a way to salvage that a little bit. So going to look there. Not anything crazy, but again, maybe to at least salvage some of my other series-long bets in that series is kind of what I'm thinking on that one. Any thoughts there, Jake? I know you obviously were heavy on Amen, same as the rest of us. Any thoughts on that series, on how to go with that one? Should I be looking at anyone else?
No, I think Sengun is probably the lock in that series. I do like the Maxi play. I think that Brown had just an absolutely insane game 2. And them losing that game also bodes well for it because, you get an extra game at least, so it's at least going 5, which is really good. I think they have opportunities there for him to take that lead. The only other one we've talked about multiple times would be Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray has been to lead the series in points. He's been very, he's been good but not great, so he's probably getting that same value that we looked at where they're still looking at Ant, they're still looking at Jokic, and he's had the volume of shots, he hasn't had the consistent makes, so I feel like he's going to have one of these games where he just explodes for like 40 or 50. So I like that value.
Yeah, I really hope so. As somebody who has taken and doubled down on Murray, I think I'm done for now. I've got my good plus numbers, but I think that he's still at a plus numbers worth some value. And what I will throw out there is same as me. I'm eyeing that Ant number very closely. There might be a point where I decide to buy in on Ant just a little bit. If it seems like both of them are far enough ahead of Jokic that I think it's truly a 2-person race. The issue is you can never be that far ahead of Jokic.
Yeah,
it takes
Jokic
one
can have 60, 70. It's Jokic.
Yeah, it takes one Jokic. Just like that's the real issue for me is if I knew it was a 2-horse race, I'd go ahead and just make sure that I'm covered. But Jokic scares me, man. And obviously in that series, he's got the other 2 categories on lockdown. So that's just what scares me there. But all right, that's what we're talking about on series leaders. Only other series bet / future I want to throw out there. This is kind of ties into my play on the Hawks. And as I said when we were breaking down the Hawks-Knicks game, I think that this is a spot for the Hawks to probably take care of business, take a lead, and then the Knicks to do what they do best, which is drag out the series, come from behind and win. So I actually like the Hawks to win game 3, but the Knicks to win the series. So you can play that a few different ways. You can play exactly what I just said, Hawks game 3, Knicks series. Or if you don't want to mess around with the game 3 in case the Knicks do come through, but you still like the Hawks to take one more game and make it interesting, or you just think the Knicks are going to take care of business from here on out, I still like the Knicks minus 1.5 games. So I think that's a way to take a little bit off of the juice. You're only going to get about plus 130 on that number, but still a good plus number, and it opens up all the scenarios. And what you can do is you can also come back in on that number if the Knicks lose. So if you don't like it now and you do like the Hawks, you can wait, see if the Hawks win game 2, then come in on that Knicks number 2. So just offering some other ways to play that. But I think there's value in playing the Knicks to win, but by more games than people had originally thought is my overall thought there. So I'm going to be looking at that, kind of just looking at different ways to get in on the Knicks.
Yeah, I don't know. The Knicks just seem so fraudy. I don't know. They didn't look good in either game, really. I'm not sold on Cat. He looks slow. He looks not like in a zone. I know the Hawks are not that great, but this series just feels like they finally just lose out. I don't know.
I don't think they lose. Now, could they not cover the -1.5? Yeah, it could go 7. Wouldn't blow my mind. The Knicks are going to win the series. I think the Knicks are going to win the series. Brunson is good enough. Cat is good enough.
I feel like
I
Brunson's
like
the
McCollum.
problem.
Brunson,
that guy is a black hole. Like
he is.
He will
He's
never
absolutely a
pass
black
the
hole.
ball, and he has not been shooting well. I don't love.
I mean, he shot okay. He jacks up too many threes, but like the thing is Brunson is what Brunson is, and he is a black hole, and he is a problem that kills the offense. But at the same point, dude can put up 40 in any game, and you trust him late. And I just think, as much as I love McCollum, like Johnson hasn't been great for the Hawks, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker's not hitting his threes. So unless something
and they're
changes,
still in the game. They're still 1-1.
They did win. I'm not taking that from them. And as somebody who thinks the Hawks can win Game 3, I guess I'm like arguing both sides here. But like I think the Knicks win the series. I think if you do believe in me, you have to go all the way with it. If you believe what I'm saying, that the Knicks are going to win the series, you got to find ways to play it, because now could be your last chance. Or if you see a Hawks win, that'll be your last chance. So that's really all I'm throwing out there. But and if you believe in what Jake's saying, then this is exactly the same spot where, like we said, the Game 3 and win the series. This is the time to go on the Hawks if you believe what Jake's saying. Because if they win Game 3, that will be a pivotal turning point for them. So I think either way, what we're basically saying is this, like any of these series, but this series in particular, if you have a strong feeling, now's the time to act, because you might lose the value on either side. All right, well, I think that wraps up all of our thoughts here. So again, usually we bring up our agrees. A lot of our agrees are the things you guys have heard over the past few episodes. We're pretty much in line on a lot of our looks in the Nuggets series. We think the Nuggets are probably going to take care of business in Game 3. We like Jokic to put up all of his rebounds and assists. We talked about the rebounds and assists bet. We also talked about laddering his rebounds. And we like Anthony Edwards' rebounds. That's one that we're just going to keep hammering. In the Raptors-Cavaliers game, we all kind of agreed that the Cavaliers are going to take care of business. We all had a different way to play that. In the Hawks versus Knicks game, getting a little more split. I'm more on the Hawks. Jake and Drew seem to lean the Knicks a little bit. We all like McCollum to keep taking care of business against the lackluster defense, we'll call it, from Jalen Brunson. And then we love Josh Hart. We love Josh Hart to keep putting up the hustle stats. So we're going to be looking there. And then when we jump over to Friday, the agrees we have, we like the Celtics to probably come out and roll here in Game 3, and Tatum rebounds and Maxey points. We're going to keep hitting both of those. Rockets, we all agree it's gross. We had different ways to play that game. Drew and I were on the Rockets. I like the under. Drew likes team total unders. Jake doesn't want anything to do with it. Fair enough. He's probably the smart one. And then Spurs, for the most part, we didn't really know what to do. We're going to wait and see. Drew's on Castle points over. Other than that, we don't really know what to do there. So that's kind of the board as we see it. Stay tuned to our social media pages on Saturday and Sunday. We will do our episodes Sunday afternoon, put it out Sunday night like we usually do. But we will put out our picks for the Saturday and Sunday slate, since we don't have lines and props yet for all of those games. So that's where those will come out on Saturday and Sunday. So make sure you stay tuned anywhere we're at There Will Be Bets. If you did enjoy the video, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more episodes. Hit that bell as well so you get notified whenever we put out our episodes, because again, we're going to be hitting them a couple times a week here throughout the NBA playoffs. And then we'll continue all of our coverage of every other sport into the summer and the fall. So otherwise, as always, we want to wish you guys luck on all of your wagers here coming through this week. Until we see you guys next time, thank you for watching, and we will see you on Sunday.
Let's have a week.